Thank you, Lord. Amazing. Okay.
Sheesh.
Now you know what? I needed to go over this anyway because it was flying over my head till I caught my
Hey,
part.
should we start over?
Please, if you don't mind.
Alright, starting over.
All right. So starting Soul Food Saturday, Soul Food Shabbat. Big is going through what he's going through. The 40 days of fasting. He's in it. He's going through a week of it. Astro feeling the spirit out there too, right? Big, can you share with us, our peoples out there, how was what you've been going through, what you've been thinking about, your reflections, going through this fasting period?
Well, during this fasting period, I've noticed a lot by myself. Build a greater connection with Yahweh and Yeshua, the Holy Trinity. Oh yeah, and with God, I mean Yahweh, as y'all know, as God. Sometimes He has many names. You already know, but He told me He is not the same as the universe. And I remember I used to look to the universe to get like a quick answer real quick. And I thought it was God connected with him. But then I did that and God let it go through. And then he was like, yeah, don't do that again. I'm not the universe. I was like, damn.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Got to let you know. Got to let you know. Like I love it because like people think that the Most High is supposed to just be a genie in a lamp. No, He's a Heavenly Father that's not afraid to discipline you if need be because He loves you. Those He don't care about,
Facts.
yeah. Like so, sometimes you're doing it your way, your tribulations, you getting those beatings. That's coming from Him. You know what I'm saying like, and that ain't probably coming up that far. It could just be, you know what I'm saying, the Master Yahshua just giving you some taps, keeping His sheep in line. Right? When you think about it simply, like it's we have an understanding, a connection who our deity is. There is no other. We don't share. Don't have no husband, no girlfriend, no side piece, no little boo boo kitty on the side. It's just Him, right? And for man, because there's other beings, but for man, for us, this is that lamb, right? This is that image. This is that being, and this is what the culmination was. So, as far as like walking that walk and talking that talk and guarding the law, statutes, and commandments, yeah, I sure embodies that. And we the body in that. So you're right, we do make up that Trinity. But it's something of kindred spirit. It's like in that blood. So we know who we are. And it's crazy when you get that connection. Now you're free. You're free from all this jangles and tangles and ropes. You're free from all of these and bonded and enslaved to whatever. I'm doing a week without almost a month. I mean, 2 weeks without a phone, and it's not eating me. Yes, it is an inconvenience. It's annoying, but that's something I'm fasting from too, right? So it's like, shoot, you know what I'm saying? Like it, it all comes together at some point to be revealed. And it's beautiful when you understand like what entities you're dealing with versus what creative entity someone made up, or you know what I'm saying, what the fallen had presented to us to take some away. Like there could be so many reasons you could fall off your path, but there's only really for us one direct route for man, right? Like and that's that understanding, that revelation. Like okay, I see it, and all these other things right here just add to it because we deeper than that. because there's a spiritual aspect to it too. So I used to feel alone. We deep, we really deep. So shoot, sir. You know what I'm saying? In like 250 characters or less, please, sir, tell us about your week. And don't run off. Please don't run off.
My week was alright, except for my eye. I had a sty, but
Hopefully that gets better.
it's pretty much all healed by now. Probably needs another day.
Thanks to the Most High.
Say that again.
So did you take care of the star, or the star still persistent? Like,
Yeah, I've pretty much taken care of it.
all right, soldier. So you patched it up, huh? So, all right. So, somebody jump up? Let us know where we at right now. Bring us, we in this scripture thing is almost like a time machine. We jumping back into time. Punch us in. Where we at in this time machine about? Codex.
Oh yeah, my fast. I've been reading a lot more chapters too.
You consuming the word. Consuming the word, my friend.
It's the best food.
I can't stand this thing. I can't run. I can't hand this thing. All right, I had to take the other headset off. Oh, yes. All right, somebody punch us in. Where we at right now, gentlemen?
We're on 2 Kings, chapter 6.
But
Okay. And we see we got 33 of them things. That's 11 apiece. Capiche? Mm-hmm. No one considered the leech. All right. All right, what's the order, gentlemen? How we going to do this?
I'll go first.
I'll go last.
So that just leaves me Creed in the middle. Right dab in the middle. All right. Set it off. Fire one ready, big.
Alright. And the sons of the prophets said to Elijah, "See, the place where we dwell with you is too small for us. Please, let us go to the Jordan, and let every man take a log from there, and let us make there a place to dwell." And he answered, "Go." Then the one said, "Please undertake to go." Hold on, my mic is making a noise right now.
Is it okay now?
I just reset it. I'm gonna start over. And the sons of the prophets said to Elijah, "See, the place where we dwell with you is too small for us. Please, let us go to the Jordan, and let every man take a log from there, and let us make there a place to dwell." And he answered, "Go." Then the one said, "Please undertake to go with your servants." And he answered, "I shall go." And he went with them. And they came to the Jordan, and they cut down trees. And it came to be, as one was cutting down a tree, that the iron axe head fell into the water. And he cried out and said, "O my master, for it was borrowed." And the man of Elohim said, "Where did it fall?" And he showed him the place. And he cut off a stick and threw it in there. And he made the iron float. And he said, "Pick it up." And he reached out his hand and took it. And the sovereign of Aram was fighting against Israel, and took counsel with his servants, saying, "My camp is in such a place." And the man of Elohim sent to the sovereign of Israel, saying, "Be on guard, do not pass this place, for the Arameans are coming down there." The sovereign of Israel then sent to the place of which the man of Elohim had spoken to him, and warned him, so that he was on his guard there, not once and not twice. And this greatly troubled the heart of the sovereign of Aram. And he called his servants and said to them, "Declare to me, who of us is for the sovereign of Israel?"
And this greatly troubled the heart of the sovereign of Aram. Ooh, sorry. And one of his servants said, "None, my master, O sovereign, for Elijah, the prophet who's in Israel, declared to the sovereign of Israel the words that you speak in your bed." And he said, "Go and see where he is, so that I send and get him." And that it was reported to him, saying, "See, he's in Dor." And he sent horses and chariots and a great army there. And they came by night and surrounded the city. And the servants of the man of Elohim rose early and went out, and saw an army surrounding the city with horses and chariots. And his servants said to him, "Oh, my master, what do we do?" And he answered, "Do not fear, for those who are here are more than those who are with them." And Elijah prayed and said, "Yahweh, prayed, open his eyes to let him see." And Yahweh opened the eyes of the young man, and he looked and saw the mountains covered with horses and chariots of fire around Elijah. And when they came down to him, Elijah prayed to Yahweh, saying, "Strike this nation with blindness, I pray." And he struck them with blindness according to the words of Elijah. And Elijah said to them, "This is not the way, nor is this the city. Follow me, and let me bring to you the man whom you seek." But he led them to Shemron. And it came to be, when they had come to Shemron, that Elijah said, "Yahweh, open the eyes of these men so they see." And Yahweh opened their eyes. And they looked and they saw, and they were in the midst of Shemron. When the sovereign Israel saw them, he said to Elijah, "My father, should I strike? Should I strike?" But he said, "Do not strike. Do not strike those who you have taken captive with your sword and bow. No. You strike those who you have taken captive with your sword and bow. Set before them and let them eat and drink and go to their master." And he made a great feast for them. After they ate and drank, he let them go, and they went to their masters. Ooh, I'm sorry.
Sir, let me have some. And the bands of the Aramean raiders came no more into the land of Israel. And after this it came to be that Ben-Hadad, the sovereign of Aram, mustered all his army, and went up and besieged Shamaron. There was a great scarcity of food in Shamaron, and see, they besieged it until a donkey's head went at 80 pieces of silver, and 1/4 of dove droppings, or 5 pieces of silver. And it came to be, as the sovereign of Israel was passing by on the wall, a woman cried out to him, saying, "Help, my master, O sovereign." And he said, "If Yahweh does not help you, where do I find help for you? From the threshing floor or from the winepress?" And the sovereign said to her, "What is troubling you?" She answered, "This woman said to me, 'Give your son and let us eat him today. Tomorrow we eat my son.' So we cooked my son and ate him. And I said to her on the next day, 'Give your son and let us eat him.' But she has hidden her son." It came to be, when the sovereign heard the words of the woman, that he tore his garments, and he passed by on the wall. People looked and saw the sackcloth on his body underneath. He said, Elohim, do so to me, and more also. The head of Elisha, son of Shaphat, remains on him today. And Elisha was sitting in his house, and the elders were sitting with him. The sovereign sent a man ahead of him. But before the messenger came to him, he said to the elders, Do you see how this son of a murderer has sent someone to take away my head? Look, when the messenger comes, shut the door and hold him fast at the door. It is not the sound of his master's feet behind him. While he was still speaking with them, then see, the messenger came down to him, and he said, Look, this evil is from Yahweh. Why should I wait for Yahweh any longer?
Mm. Well, this chapter we have to read it twice. Big man of God, what'd you take from this, sir?
Take it away, clean right.
Soaking it in, son. Because he was talking about eating people. So we cooked
that caught
my
me.
son and ate him.
That caught me off guard too. And the sovereign heard it and just tore his garments off like, I'm done with this.
So, if we got to go back a little bit, right? Because there is a battle going on between the Armenians and the Israel. You know what I'm saying? So they're under siege at this stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So our Armenians, Armenians. Okay. So right now, the king. So when I look at that part, when we go to that part, it's more like when he says in Malachim Beth, 2 Kings, chapter 6, verse 27 in the 6th chapter, excuse me. It says, and he says, if Yahweh does not help you, where do I find help for you? From the threshing floor or from the wine press? So he's under siege, right? But he's probably living such a decadent life that he doesn't even feel the harm that's going on to his peoples. They're eating children at the, you know what I'm saying? It's a war. So this is not going to go good for this king. I already see it. But like for Elijah was on something. Elijah says, hold on, you know me, I always look at the glory part of it, the victory part of it. He said, hold on, I should have said. Okay, in Malachim Beth, the 2 Kings, 6th chapter, verse 16, he says, and he answered, do not fear, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them. Like, this is that's that spiritual understanding. Like, Big is going to be able to see that more than us, but like, there's a spiritual realm that some of us can tap into, right? That do take the journey of having the fasting for 40 days. That are selected and elected to be in that position, right? And that can see things on a spiritual level. I can understand, like, you surrounded, if you're with the Most High, you're surrounded by just thousands of beings, angelic beings ready to help you. So may that mean, like, to you it may look like a coincidence. Hey, you didn't walk across the street and step into that traffic. But that's probably part of what you consider you know what I'm saying, could be an angel. Somebody could consider to be a program in their mindset of a matrix, right? Like these things that are there to help and assist you. And Elijah, as just a humble servant of the Most High, of just love, right? He blinds them. He blinds us like for you to understand that. And I guess in modern technology, it's like you know how like sometimes you looking in the crosshairs in Vanguard or in Halo, and you can see that person's it almost kind of blinds you a little bit. He asked for the Most High to struck because they could have went down anyway. They could have rolled on these people, mangled them, tore them up. He just strikes them with blindness, and then he tells his servant, like now that the guy got heart, right? He comes to his servant and he tells him when he took him to Shimron, now they surrounded.
Hmm.
And it came to be when it came to Shimron that Elijah said, Yahweh, open the eyes of these men so that they see. And this is sorry in the 20th verse. And Yahweh opened their eyes, and they looked and they saw they were in the midst of Shimron. Like, oh snap! Like he was like, when his servant asked, and when the sovereign of Yashua saw them, he said to Elijah, "My father, should I strike? Should I strike?" Like he's like, he gave you a gift. He said, "No, you do not strike." He said, "Those who you have taken captive with your sword and your bow, set food and water before them, and let them eat and drink and go to their masters." Like this man ended a war. Wow. Hallelujah. But in that great of greatness, right? There's also this hardship that's going on to people. So yes, there was a victory, but this child, these people, cardinal, right? This is in your citizenship. They're cardinal, so they think to eat. You know what I'm saying? They get so probably so depressed and so gone in their mind. Mind you, these are two females. And all due respect, we love them. They're beautiful, but like to eat their children, they're having that kind of conversation. So where the depressed, lonely mind went to, that's what happened. And this is happening under your watch. So, man, shoot, 25,000 characters or less, sir.
No, I'm still soaking up the information too.
Well, gentlemen, soak that up. We're moving on to the next. Sock that up with a biscuit. We only have 20 in this one. So, we can each look. Everybody get like two people get 7, one person get 6.
Yes, sir.
Alright, I'll get the 6.
Humble.
All right.
And Elijah said, "Hear the word of Yahweh. Thus said Yahweh, about this time tomorrow, a seah of fine flour for a shekel, and 2 seahs of barley for a shekel, at the gate of Shamaron. And the officer on whose hand the sovereign leaned answered the man of Elohim and said, Look, if Yahweh is making windows in the heavens, shall this word come true?" And he said, "Look, you are about to see it with your eyes, but not eat of it." And there were 4 leprous men at the entrance of the gate, and they said to each other, "Why are we sitting here until we are dead? If we shall say, 'Let us go into the city,' the scarcity of food is in the city, and we shall die there. And if we sit here, we shall die. And now, come, let us surrender to the army of the Arameans." If they keep us alive, we live, and if they kill us, we shall die. So at twilight they rose up to go to the camp of the Arameans. And when they had come to the outskirts of the Aramean camp, look, no one was there. For Yahweh had caused the army of the Arameans to hear the noise of the chariots and the noise of the horses, the noise of a great army. And they said to each other, look, the sovereign of Israel has hired against us the sovereigns of the Hittites and the sovereigns of the Mystrians to come against us.
So they rose up and fled at twilight and left the camp as it is, their tents, their horses, their donkeys, and they fled for their lives. And when these lepers came to the outskirts of the camp, they went into one tent and ate and drank, and took from there silver, gold, and garments, and went and hid them. And they carried back and went into another tent, and took from there and went and hid it. Then they said to each other, we're not doing right. This is the day of good news, and we're keeping silent. And if we wait until morning light, then evil shall come upon us. And now, come, let us go inform the house of the sovereign. And they came and called to the gatekeepers of the city and informed them, saying, we went to the camp the Arons, and look, there's not a man or a voice of man, only horses tied and donkeys tied, and their tents is as they were. And the gatekeeper called, and they informed the house of the sovereign inside. So the sovereign rose up in the night and said to the servants, Let me now inform you that what the Arameans have done to us. They know that we are starving, so they have gone out of camp to hide themselves in the field, saying, when they come out the city, we shall catch them alive and enter into the city. And then one of his servants answered, saying, please, let's take 5 of the horses that are left in the city. Look, like the entire crowd of Israel are left in it. Look, they are like entire crowds of Israel left from those who are consumed. So let us send and see. Then they took 2 chariots of horses, and the sovereign sent them into the direction of the camps of armies, saying, go and see.
And they went after them to the Yarden, and look, all the way was littered with garments and weapons which the Arameans had thrown away in their haste. The messengers returned and reported to the sovereign. Then the people went out and plundered the camp of Aram. So a seah of fine flour was for a shekel, and 2 seahs for barley for a shekel, according to the word of Yahweh. The sovereign had appointed the officer on whose hand he leaned to be in charge of the gate. But the people trampled him in the gate, and he died, as the man of Elohim had said, who spoke when the sovereign came down to him. And it came to be, as the man of Elohim had spoken to the sovereign, saying, 2 seahs of barley for a shekel, and a seah of fine flour for a shekel, at this time tomorrow, in the gate of Shamron. That officer answered the man of Elohim, and said, now look, if Elohim is making windows in the heavens, is it according to this word? And he had said, look, you are about to see it with your own eyes, but not eat of it. And so it came to be for him, and the people trampled him in the gate. For the people trampled him in the gate, and he died.
Wow. Talk to me, Big. What do you pick up from this?
Man, I just got the people were starving, so they went to the Aramean camp, and everybody there left, cause Yahweh made them hear a great war, and they got scared. So I guess Yahweh's about to feed them with their food, their real food.
Yo, I gotta understand um, Elijah more, because in the beginning it says, in the beginning of this chapter in the King Beth's Second Kings, as we dissected the seventh chapter, verse 1, it says, and Elijah said, hear the words of Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh, about this time tomorrow, a sheah of fine flour for a shekel, and 2 sheahs of barley for a shekel, at the gates of Shemaron. And an officer whose hands the sovereign leans answered the man of Elohim, saying, and said, look, if Yahweh is making windows in the heaven, shall this word come true? And he said, look, you're about to see with your eyes, but not eat of it. He was mocking him. Got it. Okay. Now it talks, man, it's, thank you, Heavenly Father, for seeing that. So now, all of that happened, right? So the two, it's funny, the two leprous men, I could see them like two hobos that's outskirts. It's like, man, because everybody thinking that they're still there. So they're probably like, man, if we stay here, we're going to die. If we go there, we're going to die. Well, let's just let it catch us and throw ourselves to them. And they go in and get lucky and run through the camp like, wow. And they was like, oh, we're doing wrong because they realize there's other people that's eating. They're eating each other. Guys, this is a dire situation. So, but they're eating because their own ignorance. You understand? Like they're making themselves suffer for no reason. Because that's not what's the truth out there. They're gone. Elijah already took care of it. The men of the Most High already took care of it. So after they informed them, there was going this to this. Let me see if I can catch it. Okay, now we're in the 17th verse, right? And it was like, and the sovereign had appointed the officer whose hands he leaned to be in charge of the gate. Meaning, okay, an officer whose hands he leaned, meaning like this is his strong man. Got it. This is his right hand man who he leans on. Got it. And all, dang, this is crazy. We're starting to pick up the thing. Hallelujah. The sovereign has appointed an officer whose hands he leaned to be in charge of the gate. But the people trampled him in the gate, and he died. As the man of Elohim said, he who spoke when the sovereign came down to him. And it came to be as the man of Elohim had spoke to the sovereign, saying, 2 share of barley for a shekel, and a share of fine flour for a shekel, at this time tomorrow in the gate of Shemaron. That officer answered the man of Elohim, said, now look, if Yahweh is making windows in the heaven, it's according to this word. And he has said, look, you're about to see it with your own eyes, but not eat of it. And so it came to be for him. But the people trampled him at the gate, and he died. Oh, hallelujah. Hallelujah. Oh, you want to talk about the Most High after he saved you? Oh, sucker. Oh, okay. You say the Most High making windows in the heaven. Oh, you want to mock him? Gotcha. Gotcha. I'm just telling you, 2 shares. What he said? 2 share barley for a shekel, and a share of fine flour for a shekel. At this time tomorrow for the gates of Shemron. You want to talk trash? Okay. You gonna feel it or not? That was fire. That was fire. Shoot. Wow, that's what my observation.
And Garrett explaining that's it, everything. That's what John North.
Yeah. Information. Thank you. But no, shoot, you're gonna start like big. Y'all gonna start to connect it because it's gonna start to speak to you differently. Because remember, this is a message in a bottle from our Heavenly Father. Right? Not too many. Those that can hear it will hear it. Those that can listen will listen. Those that can see will see. It's the unveiling. It's the revelation. So that's what you should be like joyful of when you can see that. Like this is so deep, but it's right there at the same time. Like I see why they try to create these worlds like the Hogwarts and whatever. Like they're trying to create their own little version of the spirit realm when they give you like the Harry Potters and because there's a government. It's a world. You know what I'm saying? It's a realm. There's rulership. There's ways to govern. There's righteous rulership. You see what I'm saying? So these are what are in conflict, light and dark. All right, moving on. That would have gave. Man. So one person will have 9, 2 people will have 10. Get my little killer poo on.
Alright.
Big, this time, do you want your 10 and I'll take the 9?
Nah, I'll take the 9.
Bless it, bless it.
I need more food than me.
Mm. Hallelujah, amen. Thank you for recognizing it. All right, let's do this.
And Elijah spoke to the woman whose son he had restored to life, saying, Rise up and go, you and your household, and sojourn wherever you do sojourn. For Yahweh has called for a scarcity of food, and also it is coming upon the land for 7 years. And the woman rose up and did according to the word of the man of Elohim. And she went with her household and sojourned in the land of the Philistines 7 years. And it came to be, at the end of 7 years, that the woman returned from the land of the Philistines. And she went to cry out to the sovereign for her house and for her land. And the sovereign was speaking to Gehazi, the servant of the man of Elohim, saying, Please relate to me all the great matters of Elijah, all the great matters Elijah has done. And it came to be, as he was relating to the sovereign how he had restored the dead to life, that see, the woman whose son he had restored to life was crying out to the sovereign for her house and for her land. And Gehazi said, My master, O sovereign, this is the woman, and this is her son whom Elijah restored to life. So the sovereign asked the woman, and she related to him. And the sovereign appointed a certain eunuch for her, saying, Return all that was hers, and all the increase of the field from the day that she left the land until now. And Elijah came to Damascus, and Ben-Hadad, sovereign of Aram, was sick, and it was reported to him, saying, The man of Elohim has come here. And the sovereign said to Hazael, Take a present in your hand, and go to meet the man of Elohim, and inquire of Yahweh by him, saying, Do I recover from this sickness? And Hazael went to meet him, and took a present with him of all the good wares of Damascus, 40 camel loads. And he came and stood before him, and said, Your son Ben-Hadad, sovereign of Aram, has sent me to you, saying, Do I recover from this sickness?
And Elijah said to him, Go, say to him, You shall certainly recover. But Yahweh has shown me that he shall certainly die. And he looked at him steadily until he was ashamed. Then the man of Elohim wept. And Azazel said, Why is my master weeping? And he answered, Because I know the evil that you are going to do to the children of Israel, setting their strongholds on fire, and killing their young men with the sword, and dashing their children, and ripping open their women with child. And Azazel said, But what is your servant, a dog, that he should perform this great matter? And Elijah said, Yahweh has shown me that you are to be sovereign of Aram. And he left Elijah and came to his master, who said to him, What did Elijah say to you? And he answered, he said to me that you should certainly recover. On the next day it came to be that he took a thick cloth and dipped it in the water and spread it over his face so that he died. And Hazael reigned in his place. And in the 5th year of Joram, son of Ahab, sovereign of Israel, Jehoshaphat, the sovereign of Yehuda, Joram, son of Jehoshaphat, began to reign as sovereign of Yehuda. He was 32 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 8 years in Jerusalem. And he walked in the ways of sovereign of Israel, and the house of Ahab has done. For the daughters of Ahab was his wife, and he did evils in the eyes of Yahweh. However, I will not destroy Yehuda for the sake of David, his servant, as he promised him to give him a lamb to him as his son forever. In his days of Edom revolted from under the hand of Yehuda, and made a sovereign over themselves.
And Joram passed over to Seir, and all his chariots with him. He rose by night, struck the Edomites who had surrounded him, and the commanders of the chariots. But his people fled to their tents. Yet Edom has been in revolt from under the hand of Yehuda to this day. Then Libnah revolted at the same time. And the rest of the acts of Joram, and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Yehuda? So Joram slept with his fathers, and was buried with his fathers in the city of Dawid. And Hazayahu, his son, reigned in his place. In the 12th year of Joram, son of Ahab, sovereign of Israel, Hazayahu, son of Joram, Jehoram, sovereign of Yehuda, began to reign. Hazayahu was 22 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem. And the name of his mother was Athaliahu, the granddaughter of Omri, sovereign of Israel. And he walked on the way of the house of Ahab, and did evil in the eyes of Yahweh, as the house of Ahab had done. For he was the son-in-law of the house of Ahab. He went with Joram, son of Ahab, to battle against Hazael, sovereign of Aram, and at Ramoth Gilead. And the army struck Joram. And sovereign Joram went back to Israel to recover from the wounds, with which the Arameans had stricken him at Ramah. When he fought against Hazael, sovereign of Aram, then Hazayahu, son of Joram, sovereign of Yehuda, went down to see Joram, son of Ahab, in Israel, for he was sick.
That was pretty deep.
Wow, that was definitely deep.
I'm still soaking up the information.
Yeah, like, yo, Elisha, it's crazy because I was telling Big I was listening to Elisha. And bless you, and how Elijah was just so powerful. Like, I get it now. I gotta go back and study him some more. Because he was one of the last of the big main prophets before they got sent away. Because they were just living. So these people are there. They're in the bosoms, and their sovereigns are taking them to places like they shouldn't even be. Doing worse than any of their. The only thing that's holding it, remember, is the remnant. Is that we understand the promise made to Dawid and what's to come, and our master Yahshua, and it's like understanding these things and allowing yourself to be open to the true of it, the truth of it, is where you start to see and connect. So, what was he? It's crazy because, like, okay, in Malachi and Beth, Second Kings, chapter 8, in the 7th verse, it says, And Elijah came to the Damascus, and Ben-Hadad, sovereign of Aram, was sick. And it was reported to him, saying, The man of Elohim has come here. And the sovereign said to Hazazel, Take a present in your hand and go to meet the man of Elohim, and inquire of Yahweh by him, saying, Do I recover from this sickness? Hazazel went to meet him and took a present with him of all the good wares of Damascus, 40 camels loads and such, right? I don't mean to cut it off, right? But he says, Your son Ben-Hadad, sovereign of Aram, sent me to you, saying, Do I recover from this sickness? And Elijah said to him, Go say to him, You shall certainly recover. But Yahweh has shown me that he shall certainly die. And he looked at him steadily until he was ashamed. Then the man of Elohim wept. And Hazazel said, Why is my master weeping? And he answered, Because I know the evil that you're going to do on the children of Israel, setting the strongholds on fire and killing their killing their young men with sword and dashing their children and ripping open their woman with child. And Hazazel said, Well, what is your servant, a dog, that he should perform this great matter? And Elijah said, Yahweh has shown me that you are about to be the sovereign over Aram. So he say that, and immediately to feed into his darkness, right? Because it's already been appointed who's going to be where, right? It's already been chosen. It's already been predestined. We're just walking it out. He then turns around, waiting for the answer. He goes back to the sovereign, and he says, and he left Elijah, and he came to his master and said to him, What did Elijah say to you? And he answered, He said that you shall certainly recover. And on the next day it came to be that he took a thick cloth and dipped it in water. He waterboarded him and spread it over his face so that he died. So that means like he drowned him. So it wasn't like he just fell asleep. He suffered. And Azazel reigned in his place. So this is what he saw was going to happen. That's how contuned he connected into Revelation. Because it becomes like this book, we pick it up and we hop into a time machine. We have to go back there. There's a book of life. Like we're dealing with an eternal being. The Most High is an eternal being. Like he can, in eternity. That's the gift he wants to give to us. But we got to be right when we get there because we don't want to muck up eternity. Shoot, I know you're going to take it away. I'm patiently waiting that you're about to bless us with, sir.
No, wow. I'm so sucking up everything.
And you gotta understand too, guys, I don't mean to jump back in. Mind you, they're still going, the house of Dawid is still split. Alright? There's a house of Yehuda and there's a house of Yasharel. Now these guys, none of them are doing the right thing. There's only a few. But none of them are really doing the right thing. They've lost the contact connections with the Most High at this point. Just like where we're at now. It's probably even worse because you had it. Like, you know what I'm saying? You had the prominence, you had the decadence, you had the kingship, you had the nation. But you were attempting to be like other people so bad that they came and took you over. moving on to the next. So that would give us. So two people have 12, one person will have 13. All right. On the hot streak, shoot.
Alright, I'll take the 13, give y'all the break.
I was hoping we had it that way, big. Prayerfully.
And Elijah the prophet called one of the sons of the prophets and said to him, Gird your loins and take his flask of oil in your hand and go to Ramoth Galad. And you shall go there and look there for Jehu, son of Jehoshaphat, son of Nimshi, and go in and make him rise up from among his brothers, and take him to an inner room, and take the flask of oil and pour it on his head, and say, Thus said Yahweh, I have anointed you sovereign over Israel. Then you shall open the door and flee, and do not wait. So the prophet, went to Ramoth Gilad, and came in, and saw the commanders of the army sitting. And he said, I have a message for you, O commander. And Jehu said, For which one of us? And he said, For you, commander. And he rose up and went into the house, and he poured the oil on his head, and said to him, Thus said Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, I have anointed you sovereign over the people of Yahweh, over Israel. And you shall strike the house of Ahab, your master, and I shall avenge the blood of my servants, the prophets, and the blood of all servants of Yahweh at the hand of Isabel. And all the house of Ahab shall perish, and I shall cut off from Ahab all the males in Israel, both those shut up and those left at large. And I shall give up the house of Ahab like the house of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, and like the house of Baasha, son of Ahiah, and the dogs are going to eat Isabel in the portion of Israel, with none to bury her. Then he opened the door and fled. And Jehu came out to the servants of his master, and one said to him, Is there peace? Why did this madman come to you? And he said to them, You know the man and his talk. And they said, A lie, reveal it to us now. So he said, Thus and thus he spoke to me, saying, Thus said Yahweh, I have anointed you sovereign over Israel. And they hurried, and each one took his garment and put it under him on the top of the steps. And they blew with the shofar, saying, Yahweh reigns.
Thus Jehu, son of Jehoshaphat, son of Nimshi, conspired against Joram. Now Joram had been guarding Ramoth Gilad, and he and all Israel against Hazazel, sovereign of Aram. But sovereign Joram had returned to Israel to recover from the wounds which the Arameans struck him when he fought with Hazazel, sovereign of Aram. Jehu now said, If this is your desire, let no one leave or escape from the city to go and make it known in Israel. And Jehu rode in a chariot and went to Israel, for Joram was laid up there. And Azahah, sovereign of Yehuda, came down to see Joram. And a watchman stood there on the tower of Israel. And he saw the company of Jehu as he came, and said, I see a company of men. And Joram said, Get a horseman and send him to meet him, and let him say, Is there peace? And the horseman went to meet him and said, Thus says the sovereign, Is there peace? And Yehuda said, "What have you to do with peace? Turn around and follow me." And the watchman spoke, saying, "The messenger went to them, but is not coming back." Then he sent out the second horseman, who came then, and said, "Thus said the sovereign, is there peace?" And Yehuda answered, "What do you have to do with peace? Turn around and follow me." And the watchman spoke, saying, "He went up to them and is not coming back, and is not coming back, and driving like the driving of Yehuda, son of Nimshid, for he drives madly." Wait, madly. Then Yeroam said, "Hitch up," and his chariots was hitched up. And Yeroam, sovereign of Israel, and Azazel, sovereign of Yehuda, went out, each on his chariot. And they went out to meet Yehud. And they met him on the portion of Naboth of the Israelites. And it came to be, when Joram saw Yehud, that he said, "Is there peace, Yehud?" But he answered, "What peace? As long as the whoring of your mother Isabel and her witchcraft are so many." Thereupon Yehom turned his head around and fled, and said to Azaziah, "Treachery, O Azaziah." And Yehuda drew his bow and struck Yehom between the arms. Wow. And the arrow came out of his heart and sank down into his chariot. And Yehuda said to Bikhot, his officer, "Take him up and throw him into the portion of the field of Naboth in Israel. Remember how remember how you and I were riding together behind Ahab, his father, and Yahweh lift up his pronouncement against him."
Have I not seen the blood of Naboth and the blood of his sons last night? Declares Yahweh. And I shall repay you in this portion, declares Yahweh. And now take up, throw him on the portion according to the word of Yahweh. And Ahaziah, sovereign of Yehuda, saw this and fled up the way to Beth Hagan. And Yehud pursued him and said, "Strike him too, in the chariot at the ascent to Gur, which is by Yibbalam." And he fled to Megiddo and died there. And his servants conveyed him in the chariot to Jerusalem and buried him in his burial place with his father in the city of David. And in the 11th year of Joram, son of Ahab, Ahaziah began to reign over Yehuda. And Yehud came to Israel, and Isabel heard of it. He put paint on her eyes and adorned her head, and looked through a window. And as Yehud came to the gate, she said, "Is it peace, Zimri, killer, your master?" And he lifted up his face to the window and said, "Who is with me? Who?" And 3 eunuchs looked down to him, and he said, "Throw her down." And they threw her down. Some of her blood splattered on the wall and on the horses. And he trampled her underfoot, and went in, and he ate and drank, and said, "Go now, see to this cursed one, and bury her, for she was a sovereign's daughter." So they went in to bury her. All they found of her was the skull and the feet and the palm of her hands. And they came back and informed him. And he said, "This is the word of Yahweh, which he spoke by his servant Eliyahu the Tishbite, saying, And the portion of Israel's dogs are going to eat the flesh of Isabel. The cars of Isabel shall be as dung on the surface of the field in the portion of Israel, so that they do not say, This is Isabel."
Wow, they are in Elijah's time. They're showing prophecies fulfilled. Wow, he called it. He called it. He said, you're not even gonna bury you. You're not gonna find your bones to bury you."
Mm.
This is what happens when you're rolling with the man of God. you're getting the information directly from the higher power. This is basically like if we take all the spookism out, like this is basically what it is when you tap into that codex. Like, it's strange to talk like that, but like even with Big coming after this 40-day fast, he's gonna be a transformed to a different person. He's tapping to a codex. It's like shoot, when you put things, I can't relate it to, but like when you put things into that box, your weapon into that box, and then it upgrades to something else when you take it out.
Mm-hmm.
Big is in that he's taking that journey. Now, can you imagine like this? There was men before him of God that were just able to see and do things that were just renowned. And it's not like to big up the men. It's not like say, oh man, we're gonna make Big and put him on. Like we already knew he was gonna be a shepherd king. We already knew that. Now, that's the extent of it is between him and the Most High, and now our Master Yahshua.
Excuse me.
That's a journey. Like already we see you're gonna be a king, shoot, but the extent of it, like what kind of king you gonna be? You're looking at how kings just did things the regular way, worshiping the same things the people are worshiping now. I'm not gonna call out any names because it's not that important. Right? When people talk about all these, yeah, good luck and sprites and spirits and they're worshiping something. Right? And it's not for everybody. This is not for everybody, once again. It's exclusive, not inclusive. It wants to be, the love is all inclusive. But there's an exclusivity amongst us because not everybody's going to be a part of it. Big, what'd you take from this, sir?
I just got civil war going on right now between sovereigns.
Facts. Facts. Shoot.
I'm still soaking up the information.
Right on, King Jesus. Slide on to the next one. Wow, this is nice because this
Well, that's one
ends
best one.
evenly. Yeah, so it ends evenly. We all get 12.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful.
And the Hob had damn. And the Hob had 70 sons in Shamaron. And Yehu wrote letters and sent to Shamaron, to the rulers of Israel, to the elders and to the guardians of Ahab, saying, and now, when this letter comes to you, since your master's sons are with you, and you have chariots and horses, and a walled city, and weapons, choose the best and most upright of your master's sons, and set him on his father's throne, and fight for your master's house. And they were greatly afraid, and said, look, 2 sovereigns have not stood before him. How do we stand? We. And he who was over the house, and he who was over the city, the elders also and the guardians sent to Yehu, saying, we are your servants, and all that you say to us we do. We do not set up anyone to reign. Do what is good in your eyes. And he wrote a second letter to them, saying, if you are for me, and if you obey my voice, take the heads of the men, your master's sons, and come to me at Yisrael by this time tomorrow. Now the sovereign sons, 70 beings, were with the great men of the city who brought them up. And it came to be, when the letter came to them, that they took the sovereign sons and slew them, 70 men, and put their heads in baskets and sent them to him at Yisrael. Then a messenger came and informed him, saying, They have brought the heads of the sovereign sons. And he said, Make them 2 heaps at the entrance of the gate until morning. And it came to be in the morning that when he went out and stood and said to all the people, You are righteous. Look, I conspired against my master and killed him. But who struck all these? Know now that not one word of Yahweh, which Yahweh spoke concerning the house of Ahab, does fall to the ground. For Yahweh has done what he spoke by his servant Eliyahu. And Jehu struck all those left of the house of Ahab in Israel, and all his great men and his friends and his priests, until he left him without a survivor. And he rose up to go and went to Shamaron on the way at Beth Eked of the shepherds.
Yehu met the brothers of Azariah, sovereign of Yehuda, and said, Who are you? And they answered, We are brothers of Azahiah, and we had come down to greet the sons of the sovereign and the sons of the sovereign's mother. And he says, Take them alive. So he took them alive and slew them at the well of Beth Equel, 42 men, and left none of them. And he left there and met Yohadab, son of Rechab, coming to meet him, and bless him, and say to him, Is your heart right as my heart is towards your heart? And Yohadiah answered, It is. Jehu said, If it is, give me your hand. And he gave him his hand, and he took him up into the chariot. And he said, Come with me, and see my door for Yahweh. And he made him ride his chariot. And he came to Shemaron, and struck all those left of the house of Ahab in Shemaron, till he had destroyed them, according to the words of Yahweh, which he had spoken to Eliyahu. And Jehu gathered all the people who said to them, Ahab served Baal a little. Jehu served him much. Oh no. And now, call to me a prophet of Baal, all his servants, and all his priests. Let no one be missing. For I have a great slaughtering to make to Baal. Oh no. Anyone who's lacking shall not live. But Jehu did this deceptively in order to destroy the servants of Baal. And Jehu said, Set apart assembly for Baal. So they proclaimed it. And Jehu sent throughout all of Israel, and all the servants of Baal came, so that there was not a man left who did not come. And they came into the house of Baal, and then the house of Baal was filled from end to end. And he said to him who was over the wardrobe, Bring out garments for all the servants of Baal. And he brought out garments for them. Oh no, the setup.
You have 2 more days.
Huh?
You got till 24.
Oh, sorry. Duh.
You got 23.
And Jehu said to Jehonadab, son of Rechab, and went to the house of Baal, and said to the servants of Baal, Search and see that no servants of Yahweh are here with you, but only the servants of Baal. So they went into making slaughterings and sending offerings. Now Jehu had appointed himself 80 men on the outside, and had said, the man who lets escape any of the men who are brought into your hands, his life for his life.
And it came to be, when he had finished making the ascending offering, Jehu said to the guard and to the officers, Go in, strike them, let no one come out. And they struck them with the edge of the sword, and the guards and the officers threw them out, and went to the inner room of the house of Baal. They brought out the pillars of the house of Baal, and burned them, and broke down the statue of Baal, and broke down the house of Baal, and made it a latrine to this day. Thus Yehu destroyed Baal out of Israel. However, Yehu did not turn away from the sins of Yaroboam, son of Nebat, who had made Israel sin, from the golden calves that were at Bethel and Dan. And Yahweh said to Yehu, because you have done well by doing what is right in my eyes, and have done to the house of Ahab all that was in my heart, your sons are going to sit on the throne of Israel to the fourth generation. That Yehu did not guard to walk in the Torah of Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, with all his heart, for he did not turn away from the sins of Yaroboam, who had made Israel sin. In those days, Yahweh began to cut off some in Israel, and Hazael struck them throughout all the border of Israel, from the Yarden to the sun rising, all the land of Gilead, the Gadites, and all the Reubenites, and the Menashashethites, Menashashethite, I can't pronounce that. I'll come back to it. From Er, which is by the Wadi, Arnon, including Gilead and Bashan, and all the rest of the acts of Yehu, and all that he did, and all his might, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Israel? So Yehu slept with his fathers, and they buried him in Shamron, and Jehoahaz his son reigned in his place. In the days that Yehu reigned over Israel, in Shemron, were 28 years.
It was Menashe Heights.
Okay. Thank you.
Wow, one of the things I took, I know this is kind of vulgar, but like in Melachim Bet, Second Kings, the 10th chapter, in verse 27, he said, and broke down the statue of Baal, and broke down the house of Baal, and made it into a latrine to this day. They took it down and made it to a pisser, a crapper. They made it to a bathroom. That's what a latrine is. That's funny. And then another thing is like, Yehu was, he was a sword to handle the business. But remember, Yehu still had some sin about him. And all sin really is that word. And when you go down to the 31st verse, when it says, but Yehu did not guard to walk in the Torah of Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, with all his heart. For he did not turn away from the sins of Yerob, which he had made Israel sin. Right? That Torah, all Torah really means is the law. Moses is the lawgiver. That's why Moses brought the Torah. Like people spookify all this. They make it so spooky. It's just the laws. He didn't walk in the laws. He didn't guard it in his heart. So those things it just keened in on. But like Big said, this is housekeeping. They gotta get rid of these things. Big.
I mean, God always appoints sovereigns for a reason, and he clearly knew Yehu was the right guy for the job to take out Baal, because maybe his sin was deceiving, and he deceived the whole crowd.
Right. So if your leadership is doing this, so like if your father is doing some weird stuff, as a kid, you're gonna do the weird stuff. It's not gonna seem weird to you because dad's doing it. So you're misleading your youth. You're not living in the, like right now, like as a dad of a child of the Most High, like I really see I'm a shepherd of his children. I'm here to make sure, especially his young male heirs, making sure that they grow up understanding the laws because that's their inheritance. And it helps me understand more so this physical world of inheritance, making sure that I'm as above, so below, right? Making sure that my physical house, like I leave these boys something. So I get
Mm.
it. I get it. It's just when you get that understanding that it starts all in the heavens first, it's the Most High's first. When you understand that, like as a man, we need to be shepherd. We need to be as men. We can't just go out with the way we see it filled. We have to have order. And I understand that when they say, "Hey, Yahshua is the head of man." If this is an army, like these are armies, these are sovereigns. These sovereigns were making people misguided. They were taking people down the wrong way. They would. That's why it's like Ahab's. Oh, it's worse for you because you could have been doing this as a poor man in the corner, but you a sovereign. You okaying this from here. You don't think United States gonna suffer? Like they be letting all that fruitcake stuff go way too long. That fornication. That's you're not supposed to be doing that.
Facts.
You left that whole right. You left that whole Christian state. Now you're gonna let it all be known who you really serve. Okay, it's gonna get destroyed. I just want you guys to be prepared for that day.
Mm.
That's why I'm like, I don't have a problem investing and putting my name on the line and creating that debt. I don't have a problem with that. Just to give you guys something and just like, boom. But I know that place is on quicksand anyway, so it's really for naught. But I still want to show it like this is, Heavenly Father, this is how I want to keep things orderly. Because no man know the hour. I can't say it's going to happen tomorrow. I can't say it's going to happen in 3 years. I'm not going to put my head down in the sand. I'm still going to plan until Yahshua come back, until His Majesty come back. Then it's go time. Speaking of go time, shoot, I'm sorry, man. I try to out-talk you this week. Please, sir, get back on your talking throne, please. Shut me up. Get me up here.
You know me. Sucking up the information.
Hey, you want to close this off, man? With this, we're gonna have to start praying. You know what I'm saying? Like a little bit coming in, praying out. My brother, you're close right now. I want to lead us with something to close out this second. You know what I'm saying? Soul Food Sabbath
Yeah,
day or Soul
everybody's
Food
close.
Saturday.
Not just me.
Facts, facts.
But
Touching
yeah,
it
I
together.
can't do that.
Come again?
I said, yeah, I can't do that.
Blessed. Blessed, beloved.
Alright, guys. That's the end to Soul Food Saturdays. Well, this chapter, gonna end it off with a prayer, man. Dear Most High, I pray that everybody sees you, feels you, and hears you. Everything. I wish you can be in everybody else's life like you are in mine right now. Even though I'm fasting, and it's more like I can hear you better, I guess, but I still heard you the same when I wasn't fasting. It's all about the mindset. Please, Yahweh, just make everybody notice your mindset and what you got planned for 'em. And please bless my family, the world, everybody watching. Love you.
Hallelujah, man.
Amen.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I don't say amen anymore. I just say love you later. Like he's my friend.
Peace.
He's a family member.
He's a family member. I love it. Oh man. So conclude the second Soul Food Saturday. Soul Food Saturdays.